Hello, welcome to Audio Heads. And today we gather together today in the directly right before the war, the Great Time War, to review Celestial Intervention, and it's part of the Gallifrey series. And there's so much going on in this one. It's pretty intense. And so I just like to thank you for watching Geeks Assembled videos, and I'd like you guys to reintroduce yourselves because this is fun, and then give some give some idea of what you thought of it when you listen to it. All right, let's start with Beef Dad, please, if you would be so kind.
Yes, here I am, the remains of Beef Dad. Yeah, this is brilliant. You have the Time Lords who are getting ready for the Time War. Well, they're getting ready for a war with the Daleks. You've got Lala Ward recreating Romana, Louise Jameson recreating Leela, Sophie Aldred recreating Ace, and they are absolutely extraordinary together, the three of them. And of course they work for what is called the Celestial Intervention, and as such they sort of keep their eyes on what's going on in Gallifrey, and if they think there's something wrong they jump in and say so. They also go and investigate. They investigate the weapons facility that the Time Lords have set up in the Loom Forest. But the really interesting one, and the one that I can't wait to find out a bit more about, is Project Revenant that's been created, and the purpose of that is to resurrect dead Time Lords. And that really is getting to me, and I really want to hear more of this.
Cool, thanks. Lee, what did you think?
I like it.
And introduce yourself again.
Hello, I'm Lee. How is everybody out there? Yeah, I like it, and I don't like this one. I'm in between on this one. I've listened to all four. For me, of all four, this is the weakest one of the four series, but we're talking about the Celestial Intervention. Yeah, it's brilliant. You know, Leela and Romana have been on Gallifrey for quite a few years now in the Gallifrey series. Ace has been added to it just sort of recently. They work so well together. The characters are just brilliant. The acting's brilliant in this. For me, there was just a tad too much talking, not enough action, shall we say. There was because it was all political this, political that. It just went on a little bit too much for me. This is why I'm thinking this is the weakest one of the four stories, but it sets it up well for what's to follow. Yeah, you say you've got what's his name as Nevin? I can't remember his name now. Sean, just got it written down there. Sean Carlson, very good character as Nevin. And also you've got what's his name? It's Briactiatel. Can someone tell me? The Richardson's son. Miles Richardson. Sounding just like his dad, and even looks like him, to be honest, if you see a picture of him. He's played Briaxiatel for quite a few years now, and he's very, very good. Yeah, it's a good story, but for me, too much yakety yak in it. Not enough get up and go, shall we say? Over to you, Susan.
All right, and Tim, what did you think of it? And please introduce yourself again. You'd be so kind.
My name is Dr. Rudy Wells, and I thought this was a good start for a like you pointed out, it's a box set. So really, this is just kind of a part one. And he's right; it is a bit gabby with the politics, but I think they're trying to show some parallels with some politics of our time. You know, just to kind of say, look, this is exactly what that is, kind of thing. They're pretty slick about it. I thought it was a good start. I think. I don't really like the idea of trying to tell the story of the Time War, and I know they're dancing around. They keep playing in the margins, like with this set and with the Eighth Doctor now. I just think that that's something that should be left to the imagination, and I think that the idea of the Time War actually contradicts itself, because it would be something that would happen and then not happen. It'd be something that doesn't exist anymore. If you're playing with time, it's an event that occurred and didn't occur. You know what I mean? In other words, it's because by the very nature of it being time, it's going to correct itself. And we saw some of this with the War Doctor, I think, as well. But I think that they should. I mean, it was a nice start, and it was kind of cool that A showed up at the end with Braxiatel. I don't know where they've been. As far as the series Gallifrey goes, I listened to the first couple, but that was years ago, and I'm not really sure where they are. I mean, this is like what, their 8th or 9th series, Lee, I think. I mean, they've had quite a few in between. Like last time I listened, Romana was the president. Now she's not, for whatever reason. I don't know what happened there, but she's still a person of power, I guess. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a great start. I'd be interested to see where it was going. One other point: as Time Lords, though, why resurrect the dead? Why not just go back in time and grab them out of their time and use them that way? I mean, it makes a lot more sense than trying to be all resurrecty. But I mean, it's okay. It's a good idea, like you said, Beat That. I think that's a really, and I'd be interested to see where they go with that. That's all I got for now.
Yeah, that's really good points, Tim. Would you like to say something about it? Okay.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the issue with Gallifrey.
Introduce yourself, please.
Okay. I'm Alex from Massachusetts. That's kind of the issue with Gallifrey, too, and it's also the issue with how they've presented it on the TV show, whatever era you're in, is that you may then, not only is it slightly boring, because they were senators, and unless you're going to show them at the academy, or you're going to show the Gallifreyans that are out in the wilderness, which I think they did with what was the name of it? Invasion in Time and all that. There's only so many you can do, and unfortunately with audio, even though it's nice to have all the actresses around, and it is nice that they have a lot of women characters and strong women characters, there's not a lot you can do with audio unless you're going to have a lot of sound effects, and I know that costs money as well. It is a good series. I've usually enjoyed listening to them. I don't know how much I'd pay for them individually. I am glad that they're doing it. But the problem is, unless you're going to do a lot of political intrigue, or you're going to do a lot of dialogue, and it is very chatty, because obviously, that was, I don't know how long it's been, but I know that they've shown even in the 60s that they were, wearing the big gowns in front of a video screen, and that was very advanced for 1968. Unfortunately, it's 2018, so that's, you sort of have to spice that up. And then every time that they've gone to Gallifrey in the TV show, it's been more like a war, or more like the Doctor's fighting the Master, or Rassilon, or somebody else. That's what they were complaining about too with Peter Capaldi, is that they spent a lot of time running around, but they didn't spend a lot of time really establishing the characters like they did with the 4th Doctor and the 5th Doctor, and that's a shame. And even the 6th Doctor, then they had that 14-part season. which, they either do too much or too little, especially in the TV show, and that kind of gets annoying. But like I said, the audio book is good. The audio series is good. I love the characters, but it's very chatty because, unfortunately, there's no visual. It's too bad they can't find a way to balance between action and talking. But that's not to say it's all bad, because it isn't. It's just that it would obviously be tough. So unless you really want a political thriller, they probably have their work cut out for them. But like I said, Big Finish is always good with the quality of actors that they get, setting up the atmosphere, setting up the stories are worth listening to. I don't know if I'd pay $30 or $40 for some of them, but they're definitely worth, buying. They're definitely worth listening to. But like I said, it's very good that they are able to do such a high quality and do it with almost every series.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, so I got a question for everybody. If you had one Time Lord that you could raise from the dead, who would it be? Start with Tim, please.
Which ones are dead? I don't remember.
Yeah, Rassilon, Omega.
Well,
no, those are too obvious.
Corsair.
Yeah.
Ronnie, maybe.
none of them are dead.
None of them are really dead. I don't know. I don't know if that's it's an interesting idea, but it was interesting the reaction to the idea whenever they found out that that's what they were going to do. That both Leela and Romana were both very horrified at the notion that they were going to do that, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from that. I mean, I'm just saying, like if they actually go through with it or something. I'm guessing Lee knows a little bit more, having heard the whole set, but I don't know what they're, why they're thinking that's a good idea. That sounds very morbid. And like Leela made the point too, that the dead soldiers should rest in peace. They shouldn't be, or anybody that died in a war type thing should not be bothered. So I don't know.
All right, Beef Dad, what about you?
Well, one of the things that was said was that they didn't have enough working TARDISes, and that's why they were busy growing some more. So if that's the case, then the difficulty would be to go back and pull Time Lords out of their timeline, which I suppose is one of the reasons that they're planning on resurrecting Time Lords. And the thing is, what you've got to remember is there will be dead Time Lords there because the amount of regenerations is limited. So there will be some dead Time Lords there.
Well, if I could just counter, though, if they're short of TARDISes, can they just go back in time and get some more TARDISes? I mean, this is the thing. Time Lords are able to do whatever they want, basically, because they have the power over time. And also, I mean, if they're short on regenerations, I mean, they just hand them out willy-nilly if you happen to be a hero like the Doctor. He got a new set recently, a few years ago. So, I mean, it's they have infinite power. I mean, I don't know. That's why these are kind of silly, the whole idea of I mean, you're right. It's a very suspenseful notion, and it's a very good idea that, we're going to resurrect some dead Time Lords. They're going to be zombies, maybe. Oh, that's been done to death. But
Yay!
It's like, I don't know. I mean, the idea of Time Lords having problems just seems kind of unlikely.
How about you, Lee? Who would you raise from the dead?
Well, let's see. Rassilon's not dead. He dies, he comes back. Omega's not dead. Barusa's not dead. He's living in eternity in the Death Zone. But according to the books, he wasn't. They got him out of there. So I'll go for Zagreus. Oh, nobody's mentioned that one.
I never listened to that one yet. I'm saving it for a rainy day.
It would necessarily be a rainy day, and you'd have to eat some mushrooms before you listen to Zagreus. It'll trip you out for hours and hours and hours. Anyway, yeah, so that's a good answer. Good answer. Yay, survey says 1 million. No, let's go to your favorite parts about this. Let me just say that I also have no idea who you raised from the dead, because I know that they all come back. I know that they all make an appearance later on. It's very interesting though, because I think that this is when Rassilon gets raised from the dead. I think that this is the moment where the master gets his regens and Rassilon comes back, and maybe Bruce, I don't know. So anyway, that was my thinking on the subject. Maybe the Castellan. There were so many of them. And Livia, I mean, her name means life. All these great, powerful names, Time Lord names, mean something, and Livia means life. And so I'm really glad she's running the show. Okay, so your favorite bits. Let's start with Lee.
Well, there's a few bits. I mean, there's the one where they found out that it's all taking place in the Death Zone. I thought that, a little nod to the past there with it, and I like the way, well, it's the way they use Leela. They're just using Leela, sending Leela into the danger. You go there, find out what's going on, and we'll follow you through. So poor old Leela, eh? But I won't say what happens in the next few. But yeah, it's, for me, it is a good start to a 4-part. Well, I don't know how many parts this series is going to be. Is it going to be like a four-part box set? Like they're doing all the time now, Volume 4 and stuff like that. But it's a good opener. But for me, as I said, it was just a bit too chatty with the political side of it. I didn't mind it, but they could have got more into the action for me. Lala Ward, Romana, as soon as she opens her mouth, it just brings back memories of running down corridors in the 1970s. Yeah, there's so much, you can reminisce as soon as these actors open their mouths, I mean, Sophie Aldrin was only in it for what, 2-3 minutes at the end? Good old days. Over to you.
Beef Dad, favorite bits?
Yes, I must admit, the point where Ace turned up at the end, I just sat there with a big grin on my face, because she's such a sweetheart, Sophie. I loved the interplay between Romana and Leela. That was really just so good. And Leela, in spite of the fact that she's been on Gallifrey for all this time, still works everything around the way her tribe works, which I think is just so cool. And of course, Romana is just with it and understanding all the politics. And the whole thing about the politics is, if you're going to do something that centers around Gallifrey and the Time Lords themselves, you have to introduce the politics at some point, because the politics of the Time Lords is always central to any Gallifrey story. So yeah, I quite enjoyed listening to some of the politics. That amused me. And it was a case on a couple of points, the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, basically because the right hand didn't want to tell. And it was just so clever, which is one of the reasons why you have to have the celestial intervention, which basically holds people to account. If something is being done wrong, they hold them to account, they make sure everybody knows about it, and if it's being done wrong, they get a stop put to it. But yeah, and it's clever on the politics side, and yeah, that interested me. But the performances were just unbelievable. They were just so good.
All right. Thanks. And how about you, Tim? What was your favorite moments in this piece?
Well, to follow on what Beef Dad was just saying, I like, well, on the one hand, how Leela has developed as a character, of course, because this is many years after she traveled with the Doctor. But also, the politics also, like okay, we have a situation where there's all these refugees and they're suffering and they're starving. And Leela, of course, says, well, we have a TARDIS, let's just load them up in there and take them home. And, of course, that can't happen because it wouldn't be politically right for the situation. In other words, Gallifrey doesn't get involved. That's always been their motto and stuff. And to be fair, it just goes to show you that she's got a lot more heart than they do, because she wants to do the right thing and help people, and they just want to, like, forget about it, kind of thing. And I think that kind of shows you some of the politics of Gallifrey, like Beef Dad was talking about. They don't interfere, even though many people are being killed here and there. They don't interfere unless they have to, which is why it's always brilliant that the Doctor's running around trying to fix things. So, I mean, that was kind of my favorite part, though, the way Leela stood up and said, you know what, we have to do the right thing here, and they wouldn't go for it. So.
Yeah, I agree. That was pretty amazing, Tim. When Leela stands up to the whole history and civilization of the Time Lords, and she's just pushing pushing for right, pushing for humility, pushing for strength, pushing for interaction and deep relationship. She's just got it right all the time. So I'm really glad that she got married to Andred, and then, there's just so much cool stuff that happens with her character on Gallifrey. And I love Romana running around. She herself is an incredibly powerful character. And when they come with the mischief that they don't know what they're doing, and they go on this investigation, like, it is like Beef Dad said, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, or maybe Lee said that, but it's just so true. It's just so true that these guys and these time ladies, these Time Lords and Time Ladies, are just super narrow focused and myopic, and it takes Romana, who's been out in the galaxy caring for people, and it takes Leela, and it takes Braxitel, who's been affected by his relationship with the Doctor in his school days too, as well as Narvin, who was really tied in with Leela and Andred. And so, I mean, it's just really pretty amazing. And I like President Livia. I think that she's got a lot of chutzpah, but she was hiding stuff from her people. And I'm just, I know that leaders don't always have to share their hand with their people, but it's not entirely fair for the galaxy to be governed or to be helped by people like this. Anyway, that's my thinking on this, and I enjoyed. I said that when I met Lala, that perhaps she'd make a really good president of the United States, because she was an awesome president, Madam President, Lord High President of the Gallifrey, and she laughed, and then she said it from the stage, but then I wasn't able to, elect her president that time. But anyway, that was just my opinion on the subject. Anyway, love this stuff, love Gallifrey. Alex and I have listened to pretty much the whole series, and it's really quite. He's right. It is really chatty. There's a lot of politics involved with all the way along, but it's worth it. It's really worth a listen. Anyway, let's do final say and score, if you don't mind, fellas. Let's start with Beef Dad, since he's not holding a cat right now, and stuff.
Well, I'm holding stuff. I'm holding chocolate. But yeah, I love the performances. As always, the creation of things like Big Finish, the actual feeling about the whole thing is just incredible. Not a single weak performance. Not a single weak performance. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing more of these. And it gets a 9.
Thank you. And how about you, Tim? What did you think of Celestial Intervention?
It was a good start to a box set. I'd be interested to see where it goes, and I think I'll give it an 8. I thought it was, the performances were all pretty awesome. There wasn't a dud in a bunch, but yeah, I'll give it an 8 this week. Awesome, thanks. How about you, Lee? What did you think?
Well, yeah, the acting, the casting, brilliant. Sound escape, everything. I was going to give it an 8. I was. But then I thought, hold on, where's K9? So I'm taking half off because there was no sign of K9 with Leela.
There should be at least 2 of them, right?
Well, exactly. There should be 2 K9 somewhere on Gallifrey. So it's getting 7.5 from me.
Okay.
It's still a good start to a box set.
Yeah, I can see why you did that, and I can see what you did there. Okay, Alex, what would you give it?
I'd give the plot and the writing a 9. It just felt like the story was a little overdone. I mean, I understand that, again, they want political intrigue, and it is good, and the cast is very good, but I was like, wow, guys, I mean, unless you really, want to have a super heavy story, I mean, of course, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and there's strategy. I mean, you read any history book of any dictator or any conqueror, that's the whole point, is that you're not supposed to know everything. You're not supposed to see all sides. That's why if you do, you're a strategist, because most people, they're lucky if they can see 3 points of view. So if it is meant to be complicated and complex, but it was just, I don't know if they just wanted to have a very heavy story. I didn't know if they wanted to say, okay, we're just going to throw 10,000 words and 10,000 sayings and and hope it sticks. But I mean, I did like it, but it was just very, very long, and I don't know if I was in the mood to, put up with the, super heavy political story. But it's very good though.
So are you going to lower your...
No, I just, like I said, I don't really want to give it a 9. But I mean, but I mean, I know they did a good job, so it's not that. It was just sort of like, trying to read 2 full books at once. A little heavy.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks, Alex. All right. I will give this a 9.5 myself. I enjoy this. I know where it's going. I like it. I don't care that it's not quite as exciting as the rest of the series. But I really enjoy Gallifrey. It is a sweet story arc, and this one was written by David Llewellyn and directed by Scott Hancock, and I think that they've done a bunch of other stuff in the Gallifrey, and it's and it's definitely worth it. So yeah, and with that, I'd like to thank you guys for coming and doing this podcast with me. And thanks for liking Romana and Leela and Ace. Ace got quite a bit of chuckles from Beef Dad, so that's cool. And thanks for listening to this podcast, and thanks to Big Finish for doing stuff. And don't forget to join our Facebook group and join our discussion on Twitter. And Lee Wilson has an Instagram. And with that, I have to go. Thanks. Bye, guys.